Yemisi, he said firmly, his eyes narrowing. We must put the check in my name. I'll handle the money better. Yemisi's face darkened. This is my blessing, Olumide. I've worked tirelessly, supported this family through thick and thin. I won't let you take this from me. In the background, Tunde and Tini, their teenage children, watched the argument with anxious faces. Their parents' disagreement was the beginning of an unraveling. It was a typical Saturday morning when Yemisi checked her lottery ticket, her heart skipping a beat as she realized she had won 100 million naira. She clutched the ticket tightly, her hands trembling with excitement and disbelief. This money meant a chance at a new beginning, a brighter future. God has finally answered my prayers, Yemisi exclaimed. Her husband, Olumide, a man with a broad, imposing frame and a neatly trimmed beard, entered the room, surprised by the commotion. What is all this noise about, Yemisi? Olumide asked, feigning curiosity. Yemisi handed him the ticket. We are rich, Olumide. 100 million naira. Olumide's face lit up, but behind the excitement lurked a shadow of greed. This money is our ticket to a better life, he said, pulling Yemisi into an embrace. Yet, his mind was already plotting. Yemisi's life took an unexpected turn. At 40 years old, she was a hardworking and kind-hearted woman, admired for her grace and resilience. Her warm brown complexion, high cheekbones, and almond-shaped eyes carried both strength and a subtle sadness. She was married to Olumide, a charismatic but flawed man of 45, whose charm masked a series of infidelities and a controlling nature. Weeks passed, and the couple began planning how to use the newfound wealth. One evening, Olumide broached the topic. Yemisi, I've been thinking. It's best we put the lottery check in my name. It's safer that way, Olumide said, his tone firm. Yemisi frowned. Why would we do that? The check is mine. I won it. Olumide's voice grew cold, reverberating through their modest living room. You're my wife. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. Don't you trust me? A woman's wealth belongs to her husband. What will people say if they hear you're hoarding this money? Yemisi's heart sank. It's not about trust, Olumide. I worked hard to get this ticket. I won't hand it over. Yemisi clutched the check tighter. This money is our blessing, Olumide. But it doesn't mean you'll dictate how we use it. We must plan wisely. Olumide stopped pacing, his expression darkening. Are you saying I don't know how to manage money? Is that it? You think you're smarter than me now? Her voice softened, but her resolve remained firm. That's not what I'm saying. I need to protect what's ours. The conversation ended in silence, but the tension thickened. The disagreement over the lottery winnings laid bare the cracks in their marriage. The tension spilled over into every aspect of their lives. Olumide, frustrated by Yemisi's defiance, began spending more nights away, seeking solace with his mistress, Bose. Bose, a seductive woman of 35 with glowing dark skin and bold red lips, saw Olumide's greed and desperation as an opportunity to secure her own future. You know she'll never give in, Bose whispered as she traced circles on Olumide's chest. They were in a dimly lit hotel room, the air heavy with illicit intimacy. You deserve a woman who supports you, Olumide, Bose purred one evening. Yemisi has become impossible, Olumide sighed, his frustration evident, taking a sip of his drink. But don't worry, my love. Once I get control of the money, we'll leave this town for good. Bose's smile didn't reach her eyes. Just make sure you don't let her manipulate you. I have dreams too, Olumide. Meanwhile, Yemisi confided in her best friend, Phoebe. Olumide has changed. I feel like I'm losing him. Stay strong, Yemisi, Phoebe advised. Men like him don't value what they have until it's gone. One evening, as Olumide returned home, Yemisi confronted him. You think I don't know where you've been? She asked, her voice trembling with pain and anger. "You're imagining things," he replied dismissively, but the guilt in his eyes betrayed him. One evening, Yemisi found Tunde and Tini in the living room, their faces clouded with confusion. "Mama, why is Daddy always angry with you?" Tini asked, her voice trembling. Tunde's eyes narrowed. "Is it about the money? People at school are talking. They say we're rich now." "Don't listen to gossip," Yemisi said firmly. "What matters is that we stick together as a family." The tension between them spilled over into their daily lives, affecting their children. Tunde began withdrawing, while Tini acted out at school. Yemisi struggled to hold the family together. During one heated session, Olumide dropped a bombshell. Yemisi's barrenness had been the reason for his infidelity. "You think you're so righteous, Yemisi," he sneered, "but you've hidden this from everyone. And for what? To pretend we're a perfect family? You're barren, Yemisi. Those children you love so much aren't even ours. They were adopted." Yemisi's eyes filled with tears. "How dare you throw that in my face? There are children, Olumide. Blood doesn't define family." Yemisi's voice broke. "I've given everything to this family. I lost my womb for you," she said regrettably. "Adoption doesn't make our children any less ours." Tunde and Tini, overhearing the argument, were devastated by the revelation. Olumide's frequent late nights and absence from their home deepened Yemisi's suspicions about Olumide. She was clearing out his drawer one morning when she found a photograph hidden in his drawer. It showed Olumide with another woman and two identical toddlers. Her hands shook as she realized the truth. Olumide had a second family. That evening, she confronted him. "Who are they, Olumide? Don't lie to me." He sighed, his facade crumbling. "They're my children, Bose's children. I didn't want you to find out this way." Yemisi's world shattered. "How could you do this to us? To Tunde and Tini?" Olumide's expression turned cold. "They're not even our real children. You think I forgot you can't have kids? I adopted them for you." Her eyes, laced with unshed tears. She burst into tears, sobbing uncontrollably as she remembered with nostalgia how she lost her womb. Yemisi and Olumide were university sweethearts. One day, she discovered she was 3 months pregnant and told Olumide. Olumide reassured her of his love for her, but having a baby would disrupt their education. He convinced her to remove the baby. He took her to a quack doctor who performed the abortion. In the process, there were complications, so they had to remove her womb. This is one of the secret burdens they had both carried for so long. Olumide filed for divorce, claiming half of Yemisi's winnings. The court proceedings drained a significant portion of the money, leaving both parties bitter and Olumide financially strained. "Your Honor, I deserve half of that lottery money," Olumide declared, his voice dripping with entitlement. "I am her husband. It is my right." Yemisi's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, the winnings belong to my client. She earned them fairly. This is about greed, not justice." From the gallery, Tunde and Tini watched with wide eyes. Tini whispered, "Why is this happening to us?" Tunde clenched his fists. "Because they're selfish. Both of them." Meanwhile, Bose's greed took a dark turn. She plotted on how she would take over Olumide's share of the lottery money when the court granted him his wish. Olumide's health began to deteriorate. Bose, in her greed, had secretly poisoned him over the years. Doctors were baffled by his condition. Despite spending what remained of the lottery money on treatments, no cure could be found. During this time, Olumide grew paranoid and suspicious, blaming Yemisi for his misfortunes. "You cursed me," he accused her one night during a confrontation. "I would never do such a thing," Yemisi replied, her voice steady but pained. "Your choices brought you here." Yemisi, despite everything, spent the remaining lottery money on his treatments. "Forgive me, Yemisi," he whispered on his deathbed. "I failed you." Few years after Olumide's death, Yemisi's life remained lonely. Tunde and Tini, now grown, turned against her, blaming her for their father's demise. "You should have listened to him," If you had given him the check, Tunda said bitterly, maybe he'd still be alive. Tenny nodded. You chose pride over peace, and we've paid the price. Yemisi's heart shattered. I loved him, and I love you, but I couldn't give in to greed. I made mistakes, Yemisi admitted, her voice heavy with sorrow. But I always acted out of love. Yemisi's voice cracked. I did what I thought was best for us. No, you did what was best for you, Tenny snapped. We're done. The children left, leaving Yemisi alone with her grief. Bose, consumed by guilt, confessed to poisoning Olamide and fled the town, descending into madness. Her actions served as a grim reminder of the consequences of unchecked greed. Bose's madness became the talk of the town. She roamed the streets, confessing her sins to anyone who would listen. Yemisi found solace in helping others, using what little she had left to support orphaned children. I've lost everything, Yemisi told Phoebe one day, but I've found purpose. Tears streamed down Yemisi's face. I forgive you, Olamide. Rest in peace. The lottery, once a symbol of hope, had brought tragedy to Yemisi's life. Yet, through pain and loss, she emerged as a beacon of strength. Greed, betrayal, and unspoken truths unraveled Yemisi's life, leaving a legacy of lessons for those who heard her story.